features works by about 20 artists. What's this exhibition about? What is the slow future and what is Warsaw in this context?
For me, that was important to make a kind of show like this here. Why? Because I'm interested to change the way of the people living now, and the growth is so important. We need to create a notion of a slow future, and Warsaw was important. Why? Because that was one of the last countries to arrive at the European Union, and all the politics in the past of the European Union was push the economy of the newcomers to create a market for the European Union and for create new opportunities. Now, if you think the case of countries like Ireland, Greece, of Spain, suddenly you discover that push economies in this way sometimes create dramas, no? Like the economical drama we created, that in part was created by the incredible necessity to create more and more money.
Mm-hmm. And you say in your text that art has gone too far, that, but also that art mirrors the society. I'm wondering, what do you mean by that? And
I think so sometimes artists don't represent nothing particularly, but they are citizens like others, and in a way they live in a very fast way, because you don't know how many times you have to be creative. I think so some of the artists represented very well what is creativity in one moment, and now, especially in crisis time, artists live in a continuous crisis for economical reasons, for creative reasons, and they are exactly the mirror of the moment, because that was in a way art living the situation that we live in now, that is the worst, especially in Europe. No market, not help, not capacity to react to the situation, and it's for that this show and all the situation that is produced this summer in Poland is interesting for me, because a new way to try to understand the moment.
Mm-hmm. And is this an issue that appears after the latest crisis, or?
I think so. That was all the time. When I beginning to think that who is a degrowth artist, I discovered there was a lot of artists that practice. In what way? For example, I remember when the market was very interested in my work and some prices become crazy. My reaction was say, oh, this is insane. Why you don't try to create it when you need, and not only answer to the necessities of the market? That looks curious, because essentially art is living for his work, but sometimes because you try to make some work, you make a lot of rubbish. And a lot of artists take care of their practice and just try to produce the exactly works, the exactly answer of a situation, especially the artists that work with concepts and live in the moment.
Mm-hmm. And coming back to the question of the growth, it's basically based on the ideas that has become very mainstream right now, like the sustainability in transport, or the ecology, or people's impact on the economy of their households, or of everyday living. How do you think it?
I think it's the perfect moment. Is what is common now in every part of the world, and especially in Europe, people are unhappy. They need new answers. They needed new questions too. And suddenly, for example, for the next European Parliament election, you discover that the people are not really interested, because it's nothing new. It's all the people promise you stuff that we are habituated to learn, and now we needed exactly that, created something different. Now, if you think at the beginning of the idea, it's very curious. No, in '68, in May '68, there was some persons that at the time of the French Revolution of May, asked for ecology issues. And at the time, United Nations created a committee called the Roma Committee to think about what arrived in '68, because there was a kind of kids asked for new stuff. This group make a meeting in the '70s and say, okay, there was some crazy people to ask for new trends in ecology issues, but it's not really important. This is only a little segment of the population. And that was the beginning, because that was the first time that somebody talked about the growth openly. And now, 44 years after, you discovered that was important for a lot of people. That was the problem. That was the precursors, the people who need to talk at the time, decide to don't talk immediately, no, and try to live in this way, but not necessarily with the mass. And now the mass need the growth. The mass need to understand that it's impossible to continue to consume in the way we live in. It's not any more time for continuous to living in the way we live in. It's impossible. It's not sustainable. It's ridiculous expensive, and it's a big part of the problem, no?
So what are the different scenarios, like alternative scenarios for the
there are a lot, no? Essentially, for me, we need to produce less, we need to consume less, and it's very difficult to say as someone consume less. And we are in a country that is in the free zone for the last 30 years or 25 years, yes. And it's difficult to say they consume less. And try to propose and show what arrived in Spain when we create this phenomenon to building and create a incredible talk about the Spaniard or Irish dream. That was not a dream. Actually, there was a nightmare, a social nightmare that produced the reality now. And it's one of for me, the best solution is the growth. It's definitely, no? We need to accept that we need to work less too. We need to take more time to live in better, to accept that. The other day, I think I'm father of two, and the other day I think that our generation is the first generation in Occident that don't have probably the possibility to offer that we have it when I was a kid, because situation changed. It's not anymore this idea that you offer a better life to your kids. It's absolutely not sure now. It's practically impossible. If you read, for example, The Capital in the 21st century, the Piketty, you discover that was a completely mistake. Imagine that only the work provoke more money. That was finally the heritage, and in that is a kind of we are in the past sometimes in the way that we consume finance, in the way that we produce, and it's nothing to do with be extremist ideologically. It's just be rational and say world need to change.
You had been working at the United Nations, and
yeah.
I'm considering how this experience have, how does this experience reflect on your current practice as an artist, and the curator?
Definitely a lot. No, one day I tell someone that my work is influenced by my background, that is essentially a legal one and political science in the second field, and yeah, that influenced me a lot, because I am totally in social issues. I consider that I need to create stuff that interpret in my time, not necessarily only my ideas about my time, but try to put some attention to the quotidianity. I'm very, very far away about the idea that the art needs to treat only historical facts of notion bigger than life, like love, worth, and and history. It's more, it's quotidianity is important now, and I am. Somebody tell one day that it's probably a good idea to say that I am a kind of researcher of problems. I have the impression that I just work in problems, and in this way, each day have a new problem, and in this way I have all my life to create art.
Mm-hmm. And do you think art reveals some solutions for the problems of people?
For the moment, the art work to change history doesn't exist. But it's important that the artists offer opinions that one day somebody offers. No? The first time I was interested in that is, I don't remember the name of the artist or something, but I'm interested in the Cinquecento Italiano, and I discovered a little painting that the artist make something strange. That was Venice, but that was not Venice, because in one moment you see bridges to go into the Giudecca, to the ghetto. Mm. And at the time there was some bridges there, that Jews don't have the right to go into the other side. But he make it, and that was in the Cinquecento. And what was that? That was political art. It's not new, it's not make it by Santiago Sierra, myself and other guys. That was from the Cinquecento, and there was a guy to talk about the idea of the Jews in this time had the right to going out of the ghetto and don't be dressed in the way that they was dressed at the time. And it's interesting. Mm-hmm. It's not new. Artists need to show politics. Actually, after you have the formation, no? When I see a work sometimes, I analyze not only the techniques, I analyze the social context of the time, and sometimes it's very nice to check a painting and put it in how was the political time at the moment, the economy, or and if you see some Rembrandt stuff and you discover the discussion of the time and you see some persons in the paintings and some attitudes, you understand that was influenced by politics. But art historians sometimes they are not interested in working this direction because sometimes it's boring and sometimes it's out of their competence. Mm-hmm. But that is not new. Mm-hmm. It's just real artists living in the real time. Mm-hmm. Artists of the show, they are essentially artists to have a very strong feelings with society. Sometimes I don't agree with their political positions or the way they live in their art, but essentially they are more interested in the society they live than in the market they live. And that was essentially, all the guys are totally degrowth for me. They are practitioners of what I try to say. A slow future was a kind of provocation because society and development was created with the idea of going fast, technology going fast, all the people going fast, and we need to change that a little, and just adapt the science, adapt the technology to us, and not adapt the people to the market. That is essentially that we make it now. Mm-hmm.
And how much effort do you think we should put to?
Is the interesting stuff is that this is like a personal relation. No, you need to decide how is your interest in that and try to live in. But if we are more and more to make it, power people need to adapt it to that. No, it's I don't know. We have it's difficult to explain. The other day I have this incredible conversation with technicians to tell me, to try to explain me why a mobile phone of a computer living less now, and how the machines are created to stop in one moment. And I talking about a washing machine I have for the last 20 years to work perfectly well, and they explain me that doesn't change, and that the reflection was make it to change that because they think it to the emerging markets and how sell these kind of products, no? And somebody tell me that a freezer living less in China because we expect that they consume more and more, and that need to change, no? If it's not only that, it's so many examples, but I think so. Yes, essentially revolutions sometimes beginning in beds, in living rooms, in a dinner, in a desire of change, in a little room, and some people should dream very hard. It's the same situation, no? But essentially, I think so. The moment is perfect for that because nobody is happy with the world we live in. No, it's not. I don't know. I am interested in the Socialist Party in France, but I don't recognize anymore. I vote for Hollande, but it's a terrible shame. No, that was is a completely disaster, and it's not. Politicians don't make new answers. Answers need to come from someone, and I think so. It's a lot of people capable to answer to the change of his time, no? Without any fear.
And do you think the exhibition will feature some works that will be more than symbolic? How will they relate to this topic?
This is difficult. This is difficult because some artists, when you think it on some of the works, that suddenly you understand that the artists are making something more than the technique and the feeling that make for create a work. And I know the history from some of the guys and say that the work reflected very well their ideas. Now, you never know how the people reacted with a work, and but I think so. It's an inspiring show, a little darky, with humor, with no traditional in the way we show the works, and I love shows that provoke the possibility to think it and don't just going and have a nice experience of half hour. It's essentially a show for say try to see the world in different way. How in your house you have the possibility to consume in different way, think it in another way of what words you propose for the newcomers, your kids or whatever. And it's, your country is fascinated for. You have an incredible, I think like a diplomat, your country was one of the countries to have an incredible diplomat past, very important reactions sometimes in politics in the past. After in the communist time there was a different situation, but when they arrived to the Union, I was very interested in the reactions, sometimes the overreactions of Polish politicians, and I think the size of the place is perfect to imagine this place like a potential new experiment for a new way of living. Because if we talk about market, the size of the market is perfect to study. It's very continental. Is Polish is a lot. We have a lot to learn from this country, and especially of the way they improve the new ways of living. No, when I talk with my team here, I discovered that they are interested. They are conscious about what is the growth, about the necessity of change that. And it's interesting because 20 years ago in Spain, when they arrived to the Union, that was 25 years ago. Nobody think of a new alternatives. No, that was just go fast and light, and what they make it. In the case of the Ireland, that was more dramatic, no, because we improved this country to create a kind of framework facilitated the movement of money, and actually is intellectually a big construction, but for who? For not essentially for the people of Ireland, and now is the time to change that. I dream it to a degrowth party in the next European election or some. The day of I I saw a politician talk openly about it, and I say, oh, you are my guy.
And how does it differ from, for instance, a Green Party or?
Yeah, the Green Party. I think so. Is sometimes ecological parties have extreme way to understand industry and all that. No, I am not against the idea to have a kind of industries or so that I just readapt what we have it and make it something more. No, I'm not an integrist of the ecology, but I think so that probably the problem was that traditional party never integrated ecological new ways of thinking. They just take it some ideas from the ecological party and make it less strong, nothing more.
Do you think the future will be slow?
We need it, especially here. No, is if we continue to run in the same way, we are lost, because there are people to run faster than us, and that doesn't respect the market. So they are different, and we need to offer the example of what is possible to make. Why? Because here is a kind of order. You know, I don't like it completely, but it's a kind of order that you are right to influence the order to accept some situations. But sometimes it's dangerous to not look at arrive with your neighbors in Ukraine. Now in Europe we have a kind of regression in ecological issues, because suddenly we are so scared about the possibility of a war that provoked that some guys talk about new ways to extract charcoal in a very, very dangerous way, just for reacting at the idea of we are dependent of the Russian gas. And I don't like this kind of stuff, because again it's reactions that looks like the past, that we are evidently scary about possible wars, and we never think of the new ways to work.
Okay.
And in the middle, artists and I don't know. I don't think that if I'm going to Donetsk and make something there that change something.